Hi friends, this is Sarah-Nell Walsh. In case we have not met before, I am a professional coach, a former partner in a big law firm, and the founder of Wayfinders LLC. You know, I help my clients grow their businesses, and one of the things that can really help your business run more efficiently is running a great meeting. And this is something a lot of leaders struggle with, as I'm sure you know. How many times have you attended a meeting and walked out of there thinking, man, that was such a waste of my time? Or how many times have you attended a meeting and you walked out thinking, I didn't need to be there. I had nothing to contribute. We didn't talk at all about my function, and I could have so much more productively used that time working on an objective that's strategically much more important to my organization. Today's tips are designed to help you avoid falling into that pit. The average executive spends 23 hours of their week in meetings, and 71% of them say that these meetings are either unproductive or inefficient. So hopefully we're going to help you be in that 29% that is running efficient and productive meetings. I know there are other folks in your network who need to hear this message. Maybe your boss or your supervisor or your colleague. So go ahead and go down to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and you'll see a share button. Go ahead and hit that button and you can either share it to your timeline or, my favorite, start a watch party so that you and your friends can talk about your top pet peeves in meetings while I'm talking about meetings here. Even if you're watching this recorded and not live, you can still share it. How awesome is that? So before you even call a meeting, you should define the objective. And the best way to define the objective for your meeting is to create a really specific agenda. An agenda has the power to really clarify and speed up a meeting. And in this agenda, you want to be really precise. So instead of saying develop a budget, you want to say discuss the need to reduce the operating budget by 15% and how to achieve this reduction without cutting headcount, right? That gives you something very specific to discuss in your meeting. Now you want to think about who needs to be at this meeting. And I really want you to ask the question, who can contribute to this objective? Whose contributions do we need in order to achieve this objective? Right? And I want you to only invite those people to the meeting. Another great question is, what value will this person add to the meeting? Okay, so now you've set your agenda, you've decided who needs to be there. Now you're going to pick the most effective medium for the meeting. Y'all, do not be the person who calls a meeting for something that can be done over email. You know those people, and you do not want to be that person. Also, right now in this environment, really think, can this be achieved through a conference call? Or do we need to be able to see each other's faces? And does this need to be a video conference? Zoom fatigue is real, y'all. So if you do not need to have a video conference, do the meeting by conference call. And there are some meetings right now that I'm recommending to my clients still take place face-to-face. That can happen if you live in a city where people aren't like spread out all over the place. That can happen. Those one-on-ones can happen on someone's back deck, or even as with one of my colleagues in a Starbucks parking lot, right? You guys can stand 6 feet apart and you can have your one-on-ones, your quarterly one-on-ones with your direct reports. If really having a face-to-face connection is that important to your objective. Then you're going to circulate the agenda 24 to 48 hours before the meeting. And this ensures that people are going to show up with ideas, ready to contribute, and that they know the objective of the meeting before they sit down, right? So that if people don't have ideas and they aren't contributing, you can rightfully say, well, hey, you've had 48 hours to think about this. I invited you here because I value your contributions and I want you to participate. Every meeting should have a time limit. One of my coaches, Laura Mayherg, calls this a time contract. And it's the expectation that you're setting as the leader of the meeting that you are going to complete the objective within the assigned time period, which means that then you need to manage your time. So if you set, and you should always set the shortest amount of time you possibly can. So when I work with clients, I will challenge my clients to have their weekly one-on-ones with their direct reports be 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Because you want to set the shortest amount of time that you need to achieve the objective so that you can be as productive and efficient as possible, because people will fill all the time that you give them. Okay? So what is the shortest amount of time you can achieve your objective in? And then you're going to manage the meeting to that time contract. If you are having a meeting of more than 2 people, you should really assign someone to take notes. And again, I'm going to give you the don't be this person reminder. Don't ask the lady because you know she'll say yes. Not cool. That happens all the time, right? That's a housekeeping cost that women do not need to bear anymore. So, and you know that she'll do a great job and she's got the best handwriting, right? So I want you to rotate this task between the members of your team who attend these meetings as to who should be the appointed note taker. And then start every meeting with a check-in. Check-ins are so important for 2 reasons. One, it gives you an ability to really take the temperature of everyone in the room. And 2, it makes sure that everyone's voice gets heard. So there's some really interesting psychology that once people participate in a meeting once, it makes them more likely to participate again. So by doing a check-in and going around the horn, you're actually encouraging more participation, and especially participation from introverts and diverse voices. So that's something that's super important. I love the question, what's going right? It's positive, it's upbeat. I also love the question, what's the best thing that happened to you this week? Right? What's a cause for celebration in your life right now? And then also right now during COVID, I love the question, how are you showing up? And I love that question because especially as we're communicating through more remote means, there's a real tendency for us to fill in the gaps. And so if someone is showing up like I did on my one-on-one with my team member on Wednesday, a little weary, you might read that as that they are frustrated with you. But if you know that they're showing up to the meeting that way for reasons unrelated to you, it really allows you to communicate with much greater clarity and much greater compassion. So those are some check-in questions. For every meeting, whether you're the leader of the meeting or a participant, come to the meeting prepared to ask open-ended questions and listen, actively listen to the answers. High-performing teams are characterized by members who ask great questions. And rich questions can spark ideas for problem solving, solution finding, and obstacle hurdling. Some great questions to get you in the mindset. And this is from our guest speaker yesterday, Whitney Ott, which I thought was such a great question. What are your big rocks this week? That is a great question for a leader to ask because it gives an opportunity for the leader to reprioritize and also to see what everyone's big projects are for the week and to make sure that they line up with the strategic objectives of the organization. What makes it possible for you to do your best work on this project? What tools do you need to be successful? What makes this project hard? And how can we think about this differently? So those are just some great open-ended questions for you guys to think about. The next thing you want to do in these great meetings you're running is to agree on next steps. So a prompt for that is, before the next meeting, we will ... Does anyone have anything to add, take away, or rephrase? And so you're setting, these are our takeaways. And before our next meeting, these are the things that we're all going to do. And then you're making sure that you have buy-in from the group and that everyone heard the same thing, right? So important. Then after the meeting, you're going to circulate the notes, and the notes should be based on the agenda, salient discussion points, and then also those takeaways that we just named. And as the leader then, you need to follow up individually with the folks who have takeaways or action items to make sure that they're clear on exactly what they need to do. and what the expectations are before the next meeting. And Brene Brown has a great phrase for this, which is paint it done. So you want to take all the guesswork out of it. Clarity is kindness. So you want to make sure that your team is really clear about what they need to deliver before the next meeting. And then you need to hold them accountable for getting those things done with compassion, right? But as we discussed yesterday, accountability is kindness, because you want people to be successful, and they can't be successful if they aren't getting their work done. So you need to hold them accountable, and hold them accountable to that level of expectation that you have for your team and for your organization, right? And now, ba-boom, mic drop. You just ran a great meeting and set yourself up for incredible success. So I hope that this has been really helpful to you guys. I know that I jumped on a few minutes early today, and that is because I am going to a happy hour, socially distant, at 5:30. Our friends at Tip Top Cocktails sent over a case of delicious canned cocktails, and so we are going to go enjoy those and do a little cheers out in the street at 5:30 to thank them for their generosity. So I hope all of you have a great evening, and I will see you guys all again on Facebook Live on Tuesday. Take care and have a great weekend.